Hello all, this is Srinivasan, and in this particular video we are going to take a look at EasyMock technology and the various features it provides and its versions. So EasyMock it is built upon the Java proxy mechanism. What is mocking? Mocking is wherein you provide a mock for a given object, a given actual object, and you define the rules for that mock object as to how it has to behave on a given situation in the place of an actual object. In other words, an actual object which accepts parameters and which returns a set of values depending upon the parameters. If you are aware of that functionality, you can create a mock object over the actual object and specify a set of rules for that mock object, that it has to return such and such a value when it is accepting such and such a parameters. So in such a way, the mock object plays the role of an actual object, and whenever a particular method is invoked on it, the actual object's method is not invoked, but still the expected output is returned back. This is the whole concept of mocking, which works upon the proxy mechanism provided by Java. EasyMock is just another implementation of this mocking. Its current version is 3.3.1, and it helps us in performing unit testing of our code. So why easy mocking in testing? What is the need of easy mocking in testing? Let us assume a scenario wherein we have a project or a product that we have written, and there is a code that we have written that depends upon external party or external jars or external code. So how will you test the code which is written by us and which is tightly coupled with the external jars when that particular external code is currently not available in the system? How will you do the unit testing, though you are very sure of the concept that the external party is working fine and the results that is given by the external party is, we don't have to test that basically. So all we need to do is we need a scenario wherein we can test our code without having to really test their code. Their code we don't have to worry because it is already working. So what will you do in such a scenario? This is where mocking will help, wherein you mock the third-party classes and you define a set of rules that if those third-party classes receive these kind of parameters, what needs to be the behavior if the third-party jars or classes or methods are invoked. So what has to be the behavior that you define using the mock objects? You'll be defining those roles on the mock objects instead. And EasyMock is a technique which helps us in achieving the same very easily. So first of all, to exemplify the same, we'll have a sample project. And to this project we need the libraries that are provided by the EasyMock, and along with EasyMock, for testing the same we need the JUnit mock. So now we'll define the core services in our project. This is an interface. I'll rename it to iCalculator service. Which is having 4 different services. Embedded within it. Now the implementation of this interface is available in a third-party jar or in a third-party code, whose code is not available with us at the time of testing. This is the assumption on which we'll be writing the test case. Let us assume that there is a driver class for this calculator service. Which accepts the parameter as the calculator service. At the production or the runtime, it will be the actual implementation class that will take the place of the parameter. And so what this method does is it calls the add method from the calculator service. Using its result, it increments the result by 1 and returns the same. Now if you observe, as I initially pointed out, the assumption was that iCalculator service, which is an interface, we do not have the implementation of the same. So this line is definitely needs the implementation of iCalculator service, but we are very sure of that the implementation is going to return me the correct value, that is 10 plus 20, which is 30, and all we need to verify is whether this particular line is working as expected, that is the code that is written by us, whether it is working as expected. So we are not bothered about the expected result out of this statement, whereas we are really bothered about the value returned in this line, which is our code. This being the driver class, we'll be writing a test class for this. I have created and maintained test cases in a separate source folder such that it is not included in the EAR deployed for the production. The correct standard is to exclude your test cases from the source when deploying into the EAR. So the best way to do the same is to have a separate source folder for your test cases. And in this particular class, I'll be writing the test cases. Now comes the concept of easy mock. So easy mock provides a Java class named easy mock itself, which acts as the core part of the easy mock framework. It provides APIs which allows you to mock objects and provide proxy objects for the same, for you to carry on the testing of only your code, such that you need not be aware or you need not be worried about the external party's code. So one of the APIs that it provides is expect. Expect takes an argument of which particular method is going to be invoked, and in this case, as my calculator driver is going to invoke the add method, I need to specify the rules for the same in my mock object. So using easy mock, first of all I'll be creating a proxy object for my service. So this particular line returns me the mocked version of the iCalculator service object. So once my mocked object is ready, I can define rules on my mocked object as to how it has to behave when a particular method is invoked. So in my next line, I am defining the first rule for it, that easy mock expects a call called as add, and with the arguments 10 and 20, and when it expects the arguments 10 and 20, it has to return me a value of 30. This is one rule that I am defining on my mocked object of iCalculator service. So once I define this rule, I can make my object ready to be invoked from the calculator driver. Now I instantiate my calculator driver and invoke the method add an increment. Let me rename my current class to be calculator driver test. So now to test my actual class to be tested, I will invoke the right classes. Okay, so now after that I'll be invoking the add and increment method out of my iCalculator service, and my expected result is 31. So I use my assert class from the org JUnit. Expected is 31 and actual is the one that will be returned from your driver. So this time you will see that the test add method, which has invoked the calculator driver's add and increment, has provided a service, has provided a mock object for this, and hence this particular line, even without its execution, it has returned the result of 30 to it. And once 30 is written, 30 is added to 1 and it is written, and hence you get a value back of 31. So this way you achieve mocking using easy mock, and hence your test cases can continue to run to test your code even though the third party's code is not available in your system. There are two things to notice down here. The first thing is how you created the mock object. Second thing is the way you defined the rule upon your mock object, the way the behavior has to happen when a particular method is invoked, and then you make your object, that is the mocked object, to be ready to be invoked once again. Now the point to observe here is about the create nice mock. There are two versions of mocking provided by easy mock. One is create nice mock and one is create strict mock. In the case of the create nice mock, what happens is, even though you have defined a rule for the add method on your mocked object, you can still call further methods in your driver class. So what I mean by that is, this time we are calling making a call to the subtract method even without defining a rule for the subtract method on my mocked object. So nice mock will still allow it to be executed, whereas this is not the case, and hence you could see that the test case has become successful. Now let us take an example of the strict mock, which does not allow you to call a method, any other method apart from the methods that you have defined in your rule set. In this case, you will see that your test case has failed because you have created a mock object which is strict, and hence it will not allow you to invoke any other methods apart from the add method which you have defined it in your rule. So when you remove this call to the subtract method, you will be able to run your test case successfully. This happens to be the whole concept of the mocking using easy mock, and use the same for your test cases. Thank you.